Hey everybody, welcome back. It's Cheap Comic Collector. This is episode number 62. And today we're going to be taking a look at these four comics that I've just recently read. And before we do that, I wanted to shout out to Dr. Silver Age and his Memories show. It's Saturday as I film this, and I just got done watching his show a little while ago. Great show. Wasn't sure I'd like it because of the talk show format. That's not usually a format I care for too much, but they just showed some fantastic books. I loved every book they showed. It was a great show. Great way to look at some old books you've never seen before and books that bring back memories. And but they did send me down a little bit of a rabbit hole. He showed a old comic reader fanzine, which I've heard the name, but I've never actually seen a copy before. And I thought it looked, he's showing the insides. It looked pretty cool. It looked like something I'd be very interested in. So, while I was watching, I jumped on Hip Comics, found one for under $1. Did some research. I guess it ran from like sometimes in the 1960 all the way up to 1980 something, 81, something like that. And so I found one for under $1 on this seller on Hip Comics. So I brought up all their books, and they had a bunch of books for listed at 47 cents, and you had to pay $75 to get free shipping. So I proceeded to start going through all those listings to try and put together a $75 order, because I hate paying for shipping, and don't we all? And I managed to get through it, but it took me until after 1 o'clock. So I was doing it the entire time I was watching the show, and it took another hour afterward. Besides that, because this guy's website, it's got every book listed multiple times, and so you're going through the 47-cent books, and they jump up to a few cents at a time till you get to into the dollar books. And there's, I don't know how many on a page, a lot. But like all the 47 books, he probably had 20 pages of 47-cent comics. And it was like the same 12, 15 comic books over and over and over again. So I had to go through all of those to get to the better books and get a more variety. And those were the same with multiple listings of the same books. It was very confusing, very hard to order from. But I did get through it, and I got up to over 75. I think it was like $81 or something, coming in at less than $1 a book. And so I placed my order, and then the website does this thing where it just blinks on and off, and it kicks out like 15 books because they don't have them. I was like, really? You got 20 listings for every book, and then the website kicks them out of your order after you've ordered. So I had to go back in and find a few more books to get back up to the $75, but I got there. So those books will be coming in. It's a nice variety of books. I ordered a lot of independent stuff that I've gotten one or two issues of before, and just to fill in holes and stuff and work on filling in the things. So that'll be a good order. That'll be coming up later. But they sent me down that rabbit hole, and I was going to come out here in the garage and film these episodes, three or four episodes today, and I'll probably just do this one episode because it's hotter than heck out here. Anyway, so thank you, Dr. Silverage. It's a great show. You guys should check it out. Mickey Mouse, number 164 from 1976. This one is a little bit of a disappointment. I collect Disney books, as you know, and this is all reprint. Even though it's from 1976, the entire issue is reprints from elsewhere. The cover is reprinted from the original printing, which was Mickey Mouse number 114. And the first story, Mickey Mouse Meets Blackbeard the Pirate, was also from that issue. And it's a bit of an odd story because it's got Mickey and Goofy back during pirate times. And the opening blurb says, a fantastic time machine enables Mickey and Goofy to live in different periods of history. Right now, they are aboard Mickey's unarmed merchant vessel off the Carolinas in the early 1700s. And that's the only explanation we get of them being back in time. There's no, and they're just living their lives like they live there all the time. It's not like they're trying to get back to the present or they're trapped or anything like that. So it's a little odd. It does appear that there was a series of these because I looked around in the surrounding issues of the original printing, and I found another one that was basically the same thing except it had them in a different time period. So apparently they made a little bit of those stories. I don't know to what extent. The artwork was pretty typical for that era. Looks a lot like the typical Mickey stories of that era. I was just surprised that the issue was all reprint, even though it was from 1976. And the story itself wasn't that particularly good. It was okay, just kind of typical Mickey for the period. And there are some great Mickey stories out there. Early Dells, they adapted the comic strips from Floyd Gottfredson, and then they did original stories as well that were well done. And then later, maybe in the 60s, 70s, Mickey just kind of became a more bland character that wasn't quite as exciting. So, and then in the back we've got Goofy and Gus Goose teaming up to open a wrecking business because they destroy everything that they touch. So they thought it would be a good idea to go into that. And this is reprinted from, there it is, Donald Duck 113. So that story's a reprint also. And yeah, it was okay. It's nothing special. The whole issue, unfortunately, was nothing special. So there's better Mickey books out there. And then we get Man Bat #1 from 1975. And you can see the old Shrunken Heads with Vincent Price ad on the back. And it covers okay, nothing too special. And I found this blurb interesting because I've seen this on one of the other first issues that DC had during that time too, saying it's the first DC issue, which they used that blurb on like Tarzan because it was continuing from another publisher. And I found it interesting that they didn't change that to just take the DC out of there, so it just said first issue. That they used the same blurb for their original series, but so we got Batman Hostess ad in the cover, and then the first Man Bat solo story was done by Gary Conway, Steve Ditko, and Al Milgrom as inker. So Steve Ditko art, which is pretty good actually. I was happy with his art in here. It's this guy's a wannabe Doctor Strange, but he's a bad guy, and he's forcing the wife of Man-Bat into a she-bat form, which I never knew she had ever turned into a creature as well. So it was an interesting read. It wasn't great, but it was okay. This series only lasted 2 issues before they canceled it, so they never really got a chance to get going on it. So there's a Tarzan ad for dinosaur models that you can get by saving packages of pom-poms, which apparently were some kind of chocolate candy. I don't know what a pom-pom is. So anyway, an ad for some of the others. Series now, like Warlord, Hercules, Blitzkrieg. They don't have those logos on those covers, at least not in this ad. And so there's a nice Ditko panel with the shadow monster thing there and stuff. But yeah, this is some decent artwork, especially for Ditko. This is more like his Doctor Strange or Spider-Man era than his later artwork was. So very cool. And then they have a little one-page thing in the back about Man-Bat and kind of the history of the character a little bit, because they didn't have room in the story to do that. So that was a cool issue. It was fun. It's got its nasty stain on the back. I don't know what that's from. Maybe it's from Pom Poms. And then this one, The New Adventures of Superboy, number 35. This was a nice surprise for me. I wasn't expecting to enjoy this as much as I thought, because I never really got into Superboy. Got a nice Gil Kane cover. But what drew me attention was the Dial H for Hero, because when Dial H for Hero was no longer in Adventure Comics, I thought that was it. I thought that was the end of the series. I had no idea that they transferred over to Superboy, and apparently they were in quite a few issues of the back of Superboy. So that was interesting, and I enjoyed the story. I used to like Dial H for Hero when it was in Adventure Comics. I wasn't aware of, at the time, of the original Dial H series that used to be in House of Secrets. So to me, they were brand new. And the Superboy stories written by Bob Rozakis, pencilers Kurt Schaffenberger, Joe Giella on inks. And it's kind of a standard Superboy / Superman story of the time. The Yellow Perry is the unwitting villain who creates some problems with magic that Superboy has to solve. And it's just kind of typical of that time period. And then in the middle, we have the Masters of the Universe preview that I'm sure we've all read at one point or another, probably. This is good. To me, it was always a little disconcerting because Superman co-stars in it, and it just seems like Superman's out of place to me. But it's a good story. It was a nice lead in to the toys in the Master Universe series that was coming up. So, and then the Superboy story continues for a couple pages, and then you have a letter column, the Smallville mail sack, and a Dungeons and Dragons ad, and an ad for the Sergeant Rock action figures from Remco, which I looked those up on eBay one time. They are real. I've never seen one in person, but they do exist. And then you have the Dial H for Hero series, which was a real flashback for me. I enjoyed reading it, even though the story didn't really go anywhere. It just makes you want to read the next issue. But this was more entertaining than the Superboy story by far. And this is done by, let's see, E. Nelson Bridwell, Bob Rozakis, Howard Bender, and Jerry Serpay. That's interesting. They credited the colorist before they did the inker. Huh. Joe Giella on inks. So, and Adam Kubert on letters. That's interesting. Didn't know that he started out doing lettering. But anyway, if you didn't know what was going on with the Dial H series, this probably would make no sense at all to you. It's but if you know, it's a good story, and it was a fun issue. I enjoyed that. I enjoyed it more than I thought I would. It's of the four, that's my second favorite. And then 1997, Justice Society of America #1. It's my first time reading this series, which I've read a lot of times from that people recommend it. It's got this great Alex Ross cover. It's done by these guys, Jeff Johns, Dale Eaglesham, and Art Thibert on inks. And the artwork is incredible. The story is great. It treats the characters with the respect they deserve. And it basically deals with them restarting the Justice Society and recruiting new generations. And then Mr. America here gets... I'm not sure if he gets killed or not. It looks like that at the end of the issue, but you know, it's comics, so maybe he survives. And but they're basically choosing a new generation to help reform the Justice Society, and it's just a good storyline. It's done really well, and I've been wondering about this character for quite a while because I see her on covers. I'd see her on this cover whenever I saw this cover pictured, and I didn't know who she was. Turns out she is the daughter of the original Red Tornado, Ma Hunkel, not the android, but Ma Hunkel back in the 30s and 40s. So, and Starman from the Legion is somehow there and becomes a member. I guess that's when he was like in this time period and he was crazy. And just a great art, great story. I really liked it. I'm looking forward to reading the rest of the series and getting it. And that's it. That's what I'm reading, or what I have read. Tomorrow we'll be starting to go through a short box of Justice League. So tune in for that. And thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. Have a great day.